Hi there, folks. Simon here. Welcome to the 2024 March Intermediate TAC Open Tournament. This is the semifinals match between Gruppler and Face-Spaced. And they have each won their groups in the group stages and have moved on to the semifinals. Whoever wins this two-game match will be moving on to the finals against whoever it is in the finals as of right now. We have Spinoza and Merrick-Gills are the other semifinalists here, and they have played two games, but they split them, so they're doing a blitz tiebreaker at some point. But here we go. We're going to be playing Face-Spaced in white, Gruppler in black. And I am joined in the commentary box by ManaT, the number 3 ranked player in the world.
No, that can't be right. There's absolutely no way.
It is right, actually. I just checked.
No.
So, ManaT's
I
here.
haven't played in a tournament game in forever. How is that right?
I mean, you played recently enough. You played in the whatever we had recently. Something.
Did I, though?
We have a lot of tournaments that we play. It's hard to keep track. But anyway, let's jump right into game one and see who's going to take this one. I honestly have no idea who will win this one. I think it's a toss-up. But let's go ahead.
I have no prediction. It could be either of them, I think. Oh, and we're off.
Ooh, opposite corners. And I agree with center control. Not going to go with Knight's opening.
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I think Knight's opening is very strong for white, and so center control is sort of that old school opening we had a little while back, a few years ago, that everyone was doing.
I think you could convince me to play 2 away from the corner on a 7s board, but on a 6s board, I don't think it's right anymore.
Yeah.
That's a strange place to put your capstone.
Yeah.
I guess it's interesting that white's trying to turn the corner.
Yeah,
it doesn't attack a lot of black stones.
Yeah, but black, well, now it kind of attacks a lot of black stones because black is built into white's capstone.
Now it does, yeah. Not sure why.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would have played B2. I guess this is Blitz, so
it's not Blitz. They're playing it like it's Blitz.
Well, they're playing it's like it's Blitz.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to note they have 15 minutes on the clock, a 10-second increment.
I would have thought more about that capstone. Maybe they know something about their opponent I don't. Because I don't imagine... I would never have assumed that black would play at B2 eventually.
Yeah.
They did, so we're here.
I mean, it doesn't look that bad for white, to be honest. It was looking great for black, but black built into where white's capstone was placed.
I feel like white's pretty disjointed and black has a solid zigzag but solid line. I think I would have just played C5 and forced white to start making captures. I guess that invites the capstone to come up and then suddenly black looks a lot worse. Yeah. So maybe that threat in particular isn't what you want. You want to try and divert the capstone to the left. But they decide to move the capstone anyway.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad move. I think we're gonna see some collapsing going on, whether it be capturing on C4, on B3, or D4. Stuff is gonna happen. That capstone might come down. White's capstone might come up. Black might come left. Like, a lot of stuff is gonna be happening pretty soon, right around those 4 squares between B4, B3, C4, C3. A lot of movement is going to happen here. Black building off to the side now, setting up to not only go for this vertical threat, but also to build a horizontal one at the top side as well, connected to that capstone over there at C5.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think black looks worse on the board, but I think it's about as worse as the Comey bonus. So
Yeah.
right now, I think I'd give them even chances.
Yeah, I think that white can look better here, but it's very like superficially better. It's not better for a long time. It's a very short-term better. I feel like black might have a little bit of a better chance later on. However, if white is brings
I think I know what you're
d4
trying to
left,
say.
yeah, I'm hard
I,
to articulate. I wanted white to bring d4 left to isolate that black capstone and to go ahead and make that horizontal sort of connection setup. I think that would have been an excellent play here because that capstone would have been all by itself.
I don't overvalue an isolated capstone. I definitely think walking your capstone over to the action is a horrible thing to have to do.
Hmm.
But I don't know if I would create a liability under a flat in order to isolate a capstone.
You would create the
But I
liability under
might just
flat
play
right next to your
very,
own capstone.
yeah, it'll still come back to haunt you. It takes a while, and it may never come back. I, I'm I'm readily I will readily admit that I play very focused on flat stones from the moment the game starts.
That's
So
why you're
any
ranked
capture
number
I make
three.
is something I'm doing because I don't want to.
I am all about chaos, but you guys up in the top rankings of things are very focused on flat stones and orderly moves. All right, that made sense there. The C3 placement was what I was expecting from white. Wants to go for that horizontal. Black drops that wall. That wall's going to be pretty brutal to deal with for white. White can still decide to build off to the side like at E3 or something like that. And then, kind of focus on being able to capture up with the capstone onto B4 later on to make that horizontal connection.
I don't think I like that wall placement.
I think it's not bad because it cuts off a lot of what white wants to do. Granted,
So the
black
wall itself
probably wants
the
to
wall
play over
itself isn't
there.
bad. The position of the wall is not bad, but that capstone movement down is what I foresaw. So if you're
Hmm.
bringing your capstone down anyway, you already had some defense against the horizontal. So why place a wall instead of a flat?
White shifting gears going for the vertical now. I was wondering when that
I
was
mean,
going to
eventually
happen.
black would have to play a wall. Maybe they're just doing it early and maybe it's fine.
Ooh, here we go. Another one. Going sticking with that vertical line. Gruppler has been in the intermediate zone for quite a while now, and he is also the creator of PTN Ninja, our best analysis tool for TAC games. Um, yeah, I guess. I mean, as white, do you just play at F5 here? Make that vertical threat? E6, I guess. Okay, that works towards the
Yeah,
horizontal along the top as well.
well, it's a attack threat.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, E6 works a little bit better for the horizontal along the top in addition to that vertical than the F5 would. But now,
I probably still would have played at F5.
yeah, I think I might have as
This is it's
well.
a subtle thing, but the every flat stone you place is offensive and defensive.
Yeah,
If you place it E6, you're saying this stone is only for offense.
and there we go with the
I
vertical,
think I would have
not
played
quite, but the horizontal. This
D4.
is looking pretty good for white.
Yeah, why wouldn't they play D4?
I think it's because it's for the horizontal line, Now
Well,
white
but it
has
allowed black to play d4 with a threat.
Yeah, but now white has an excuse to bring up that capstone onto that stack, making the horizontal threat and also being able to spread over to the right if they want to go for the vertical again. It was an excuse to have black play the move that forces them to play the move they were going to play anyway.
I'm I'm worried by that logic.
All right, and
It,
so
it
this
may
is
be, in fact, what the player was thinking.
oh, that's what I go for.
You'll have to
If
forgive me.
I try and
Yeah.
wait to make my move until it looks like I'm doing it purely as defense when it's really both, this is where I say b4 that whole stack 5b4 right 1 4. Come over, makes the horizontal threat, makes the vertical threat, does them both. But that's my chaos play, and I like stacks and moving them around and
hmm
causing all
I'm
sorts of divergence.
so the comment on the logic of force them to make a move that forces me to make a move I want to make anyway. It seems backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to force them to force you to make a move you want to make. You can just make the move you want to make.
Correct. But if they make
In
the
any case,
move that is that forces you to play something defensive that also works offensive, it makes it look like you're doing it to protect
sure,
yourself, but in reality you're doing it to attack.
sure. Yeah, it can be tricky if you think that that's the game that you're trying to trick the opponent to miss something. Then I see where you're going and I see why you would do it. The So looking at this board, there's the stack movement to the right to land on d4 that creates the vertical threat.
Mm-hmm.
You could also think about c2 f3 eventually creating a throw down to b2 for a road. That threat probably could materialize.
Yeah,
So I'm thinking c2 f3 or the stack throw, and they went with the stack throw.
that's my boy.
So it's a good move. This basically forces the capstone to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really the only defense.
Now here you can play at b4, which is the horizontal threat in two ways, um, or play at d6, which is the vertical threat and the horizontal threat. And again, invites the capstone over. Now, if you do play b4, it's
Yeah.
only a horizontal threat in one way. But granted, both of those
So
ways could have been cut off by the wall regardless.
so at this point, both these capstones are getting very heavy,
Mm-hmm.
and which is a term I don't know if that's used very broadly, but it's what I say when I mean that a capstone has a lot of enemy flats underneath it. It becomes unwieldy and hard to move.
Yeah. I say
The
you drop a.
consequence of that is that it becomes more like a flat and less like a capstone.
Yeah, that's true. I was actually saying to drop a flat at e5 here because it goes for your vertical, cuts off black from making their horizontal. It works in multiple ways. They decided to go for the wall, which I like the wall. I don't know if they needed it just yet.
I think the wall makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It it might have been a little preemptive. I also was looking at f3. Uh,
I think here you
because
probably
it
want to
made the
bring that wall
horizontal
down.
threat that b4 now cuts off. I think you just bring the wall down.
Yeah, the wall is the good play here, I think. Because now you can bring that wall left, you can spread it left after capturing down. Decides to go for the flat placement instead. You know, that works also. It cuts off that vertical. He doesn't really have any other way to build for that vertical. And gets more flats down on the board. And it is currently 11-11 in terms of flats because of that 2 Comey we have. 2 being added to black's flat count score at the end of the game if the game does not end in a road. White also able to continue going for this horizontal threat now because of that placement at b3. Black sees it drops the flat, stopping white from making that connection, making that threat. White can build up at e4, for example, to continue going for that horizontal, but also working towards the vertical at the same time. Overall, white seems to be in a really good position here.
I think white's winning at this point. Despite the fact that I said that I wouldn't have played that wall yet, I actually think the wall on c6 is the reason that white is in a commanding position right now.
I
Because
would
that
agree
wall
with that.
comes down, the capstone can't smash it, and it's got a nice +3 move lined up for it.
Not to mention being
And
able
again, the
to
capstone
play
can't
at
smash even
b3.
if it wants to, because it just lets white win.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot going on here, a lot going well for white. Black sure can make a threat faster than white can right now, but white's able to capitalize on it more, able to make it actually a good threat.
It's not a meaningful threat. I assume you're talking about e5 or f5.
Yeah, so if
That just
black
invites
plays
the
at
wall down.
e5 or f5, the wall comes down and it's just stopped. It's dead, right? And so
Right.
they can make a threat first, but it doesn't matter because white's threats are better.
Right. Well, it's not even that white's threats are better. It's that white's winning on flats at this point,
Also,
really, because of that wall. This is the effect of having a single liability.
that's true. One single liability. That's right. Only one flat on flat capture, I think.
Yeah. But it's enough to really tip the scale. So it tells you why I focus so hard on that aspect of the game. Because it really makes a difference.
Oh, it really does.
Now, if black finds some time to play over on a6 or b6, they could start making better threats. Like b2 up. So if they find a way to stabilize on the right side, I think that's where I would go next with black.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a tough one.
I think you just play e5 here. It blocks the threat and forces them to play
The wall down.
either the wall move, which is coming regardless, or should be coming regardless. And if they make the wall move, that gives you time to make a better defense over on the right by playing f5 as well. Consequently, you don't have to use a wall here to get a proper defense going.
Blocks with the flat at f4. White's able to play now at
That
e5.
feels dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, white can play at e5, and then that is a vertical and a horizontal threat here. Black's got to stop that somehow, and I guess they can stop like
I'm not
f4 left
sure
or the
they
capstone to
can.
e5.
This, yeah, I think that f4 play has started a slippery slope.
Yeah, it was. That makes it incredibly dangerous here. I think they were only focused on that horizontal and not on the vertical, which is why they played it. Now f4 comes left, and white can do e3 plus, and
I think
that
e3 plus is stronger than moving the capstone over.
Yeah, E3 plus is stronger than that because you maintain both the vertical and horizontal. And I think the only thing that stops both of those threats at that point is black's capstone moving to E5.
Yeah, this is why I wanted that wall to come down earlier. I think if the wall was already on c5, this would just be utterly dominant for white.
I mean, it already feels
Obviously,
like
there was an
that.
opportunity cost. Some other piece wouldn't be there if they had done that already. But
Yeah, I think E3 plus it forces the black capstone to move to E5. After the black capstone moved to E5, you just fill in there at D5.
yeah, exactly. And
Um,
that's
and then
that
black's got to
fill-in would be
capture
deadly
right.
if it wasn't for c5. Yeah.
Yeah,
The fact that they still have the option of 2c5 to the right after filling in a d5 means that black isn't just dead here.
yeah.
Although it might be over. It might just be over a little bit further than I can see into the game.
Yeah. Be interesting to see if there's some sort of Tinue pattern we're missing here. I don't think there is, but I've been wrong many times before. I mean, like once or twice.
I don't think there's a Tinue pattern because the vertical threat isn't robust enough in the D1, E1, D2, and E2 square.
Yeah.
I think
Let's see.
phase spaced is taking their time trying to see if there is a Tinue.
You know what? That's a good call. I mean, he was above on time. Decides to play at F4 instead of making the E3 plus move.
Sometimes I think the players get into their own heads a little too much.
Well, I think what this one is he decided there wasn't a Tinue, but he
Mm-hmm.
also decided if he plays at F4 and then gets a chance to do E3 plus, it is Tinue.
So you could easily argue that E3 plus is, if it's not Tinue, then you don't want to make that capture. And I wouldn't disagree with you if you had that thought.
Oh no. Okay. Spots the threat, drops the wall down. Okay. Wall has come down. What's black's play here?
So I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, sorry.
But I was saying that if E3 plus is just a threat, then why take on the
The
extra
liabilities.
liability? I, I think that's a totally fine argument to be making. Why the wall didn't come down earlier off of C6? That one feels like just maybe you're in your head a little bit too much because
I believe E3
it's a
plus here
wall.
is Tinue.
You put it there. Let me think.
Yeah, it is. If white sees it, that's over.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to stop both.
No, you
Yeah,
got the vertical and the horizontal there with the E3 plus, and that just takes it.
I just think it's just a simple win.
The guest in the in the game chat says so as
Guest
well.
463 agrees with us.
Yep. That's why I was saying he wanted to play the F4 to make E3 plus into a Tinue, but I'm not sure if he saw that because he hasn't played it yet.
And again, this is my fear that people get into their own
Oh
heads.
no, he missed
Sometimes
it.
the threat is just the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I'm going to harp on this because I recently just harped on flat counts, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think to myself, I never want to capture if I don't have to. It's all about flat counts. It's all about flat counts. But you still look at those moves because sometimes they're just a win.
Yeah.
The wall coming down off of C6, if that hadn't been forced, maybe there was some way that C5 stack gets away from that wall. Or in this case, if you don't look at E3 plus, you just miss the fact that you have a win.
Yeah. It's always rough when you
Attack's
see
a
it.
robust game. This is why it's interesting.
That's true.
Sometimes the wrong move, sometimes the queen sacrifice is the right move.
All right, he still has Tinue here if he does E3 plus. Will he see it? He's got another chance to spot the move. Meanwhile, Black is trying to build something along the bottom there. Doesn't have much of a shot at building a road down there. Even if White does miss the Tinue.
Well, even if you disregard the Tinue on the board, then Gruppler's getting squeezed from a number of angles.
Mm-hmm.
There was white threats, both vertical and horizontal. White controls the center, is winning on flats, is down on reserves. There's not a lot here for. I'm trying to think of a good analogy. There's not much juice left in this lemon to squeeze.
White
So this
is
is where you would start getting chaotic.
yeah, White is down by one flat, but has that +3 move available to him.
Oh,
So
right, because of the Comey.
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I should have phrased that a little more carefully.
Still didn't spot the Tinue, but playing up above at C6. Black playing B6. Now I guess White could be going for flats here and can play a flat to force to see what's going to happen here. And after White plays a flat, if Black plays a flat, White has to spread to not lose on flats, but then they're way ahead on flats, and then they can go for board fill, or they could spot the
Which
Tinue that they
never
still
actually
have.
happens. It just makes black capture. The threat
Yeah,
of a board fill win on flats just makes your opponent capture.
missed the Tinue still, and opened up.
I think that breaks the Tinue pattern
I believe
if
it
they
does.
capture, if they recapture.
Mm-hmm. Which I think they should recapture.
Well, they have to capture something.
Yeah. I mean, Black might decide to move that wall onto D3, which opens up the spot for them to place a flat to make a threat. Goes for the recapture. Now, this is where, as White, do you recapture that, win that capture war, and grab that? I feel like you have to, otherwise, you're
Um,
losing. Um,
no, because E3 plus is still Tinue.
is it really?
Because you could
Oh,
win by
yeah, it
placing
is.
at C1.
You're right. But he doesn't do that. He places next to it instead. which is another tack threat, but can be stopped by that spread. It's hard for me to look at what other moves to play when there's the Tinue
I'm
there.
not sure there is another move.
Yeah, it goes for the spread.
If you assume that phase space suddenly sees that the E3 plus, the strength of E3 plus, I don't think there's another move other than that spread.
Yeah.
But at this point as white, I think I'm probably just playing for the flat win now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what you would do here. I mean, you could do E3 plus still and make the horizontal threat.
You could. So at some point you want to spread the wall stack on C5 left.
Yeah. And
But you also want to
black
mitigate.
can black can smash it now if they wanted to. It
Yeah.
doesn't do anything for him, but they can. White drops a wall.
Does that change the flat count meaningfully?
Um, I don't think so, unless black takes that D2 stack left, and they don't. Yeah, now white is still firmly in the lead in flats because
Yeah.
of that. Taking the D2
Yeah,
stack left
and
might
now
have
white doesn't even
been
have to
sick.
worry about white doesn't even have to worry about road threats anymore.
Yeah, they just have this one on flats.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can just keep placing, and they're fine. And then when it comes down closer, then they'd make their wall spreads. Because currently
Yep.
it's 13 for white
Yep.
and 16 for black. But white has 2+3 moves. So that would be a difference of 4 in favor of white after both of those moves. Oh, doesn't go for the. Okay. It's a little bit different. Doesn't have the same power. But he can take that stack spread now and spread it to the right and make a vertical threat. Or he
Okay,
can do
well we're
E3
back to E3
plus.
plus being
Yeah,
Tinue.
E3 plus is Tinue again. Yeah, E3 plus is Tinue again. We'll see if he spots it now. Nope, spreads down. This is a vertical threat. Which black can stop by bringing 2 E4 plus. Or with like F3 plus or F5 minus. Oh, actually, no, those don't stop it because the capstone can come right. Yeah, the F3 and F5 moves wouldn't stop it. Only the 2e4 plus does. Oh, undo.
Was that an undo?
It was an undo.
Hmm.
That is one of my favorite things about
Oh,
white attack.
because two from c5 left was a win.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised that they gave it to him.
These guys are nice guys.
Yeah, and I think FaceBase is also confident enough that he's gonna win regardless. That he was okay with that, I guess. Yeah, I didn't spot that the vertical threat was over there as well.
I
In that
think
case,
even in a
that
tournament game, if my opponent is saying, "Hey, can I get an undo?" I'd probably say sure.
I do if it's a misclick. If it's not a misclick, then I'm like, I mean, you made your move.
If they're abusing it, then that's one thing. But I'm not. There's not $1 million on the line.
Yeah, that's
I'm okay with
true.
winning or losing
Got to work on that $1 million
based on the
price.
strength of my play, not on somebody feeling like they made a mistake.
All right. Now, makes sense to me to bring that wall stack up here or to do E3 plus again. Goes for the wall stack.
Yeah, I mean that move can only be so wrong. I
Yeah.
think it's probably even right. So, although the number of prisoners under that wall, much as the I call the the capstones are getting heavy, that wall stack is getting a little heavy and hard to move.
Yeah, you also don't want Black's capstone to somehow smash that. That would be
Yeah, that would be
problematic.
very bad now. Yeah.
And at this point, that's basically Black's only chance is somehow smashing that wall stack. But they are kept firmly in
I
check by
would
that capstone and wall
yeah, I would agree.
combination.
Uh, yeah, I don't if white plays well, I don't see a way out for black at
Yeah.
this point.
Hmm.
Yeah, that c5 stack is just too good.
Wall drop.
Well, it's it's an interesting move. The
Oh,
wall
I think
actually does
E5
stop
plus
that.
E5 plus was still Tinue after the wall
Um,
drop.
yes. Wait, was it? Hmm.
Yeah, because you can spread left. Is it still Tinue now? I think
It's
it.
still Tinue, yeah.
Yeah, E5 plus is still Tinue. It is amazing how that move, that E5 plus, has come up like 6 different times since move 28 as being Tinue. That same move.
To be fair to them,
Oh wait, it's
it's a
board
little
fill
bit
threatening right
difficult
now.
to see. Um, 4, 8, 12, 14,
16 for
16
black.
versus 10, 14, 15. No, white couldn't fill, they'd have lost.
Yeah, it was a threatening board fill, and that was what black was trying to do, force the board fill for a win. But now black's down to 14.
I mean, you're under time pressure. It's
Yeah.
a stressful tournament game. Flat wins are they feel safer, right?
Yeah.
If you're not looking at E3 plus, then because you just don't want to recapture there because of flat considerations.
Yeah.
You just kind of put it away and you never look at it again.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't surprise me that they've looked away from it and never looked back.
I will say that
So
missing,
Gruppler's under a minute,
yeah, he's under a minute. That's tough. And face
and
space
he
just
can't
under
place. He
3.
loses if he places.
Because he loses to board fill.
Yep.
Missing Tinue a bunch of times after, like, if you see it after the fact, that is a brutal thing to see. If you lose the game, you're like, you mean I could have won
Mm-hmm.
like 5 times? It is so
Yeah.
hard. Which is why we won't be telling Phase Space that he missed any Tinues until maybe after the match. Because don't want to get in his head before they play game 2. That is a vertical threat from White. Moving that wall stack on D2 to the left would be a road or down. Oh, missed it. White can make the threat now and make the road now.
Yep. In a million different ways.
Yeah, it was really just moving that wall stack left or right or down. Any of those works.
Well, they have the horizontal,
And they moved it left. I didn't realize they
like a
had the
million different
horizontal.
ways.
Yeah, I didn't see a horizontal, but anyway, that is it for game 1. Phase Spaced wins with a road on turn 40. They do still have one more game to play in this 2-game match, this time with Gruppler in white and Phase Spaced in black. All right, that is all for today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the description below for all things TAC, especially the TAC Discord server, which is where you can find all sorts of TAC resources like strategy guides and people to play with, whether that be right here on playtac.com or asynchronously through the Discord server itself. Lots and lots of resources out there, lots of great people to play with, so be sure to check that out. And until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.